Hey kids, welcome to the Monday night live stream, Filling in the Grooves, episode 100. What? Oh my God. So I started doing these things about 2 years ago, and they were sort of, educational kind of things. And then I started interviewing musicians that I was playing with, and I got tired of interviewing myself, so I started interviewing drummers. And now 100 episodes later, we're still here doing it and having fun, and hopefully making it fun and informative and bringing stories of some of your favorite drummers. And I think it's been an interesting journey, asking hopefully questions that aren't the same ones that everybody's getting asked all the time, and making guys kind of think back, and it's been really fun to do that. So some of the upcoming episodes too, by the way, I think I can take a quick look because I don't have the calendar in my head at the moment, but so tonight, I'll mention in a moment, Klaus Hessler is with me this week on Thursday because he's coming from Germany. So I have him at 2:30 in the afternoon, which will be 8:30 his time after he teaches. But Klaus will be with me. The week after, I have Jake Summers, who's the drummer with Luke Holmes' band, so another Nashville guy. The week after that, Omar Hakim will be here, which should be really fun and interesting to get into Omar's career. Then I have my good buddy Scott Kettner is going to be on the show. We're going to be talking about his, where did I put it? Oh, his new Pandera book, which it's too far away to reach. He'll be on the show. And then the first metal drummer that I've ever had on the show will be on an extreme metal drummer, Derek Roddy, who also breeds hybrid pythons. So we'll be talking about drums and snakes. See, you never know what we're going to have on the show. So I like to call them drumpreneurs because they're entrepreneur drummers. I feel like all the guys that are on tonight are sort of entrepreneur drummers, not with snakes, of course, but with other products. And more to come. There's a whole bunch more episodes coming up. So I'm booked out all the way through July with more guests. So the only night I won't be streaming is July 4th. Of course, today is a holiday, Memorial Day. But I figured everybody's around doing nothing, so we might as well stream tonight. And also, we can talk about some of the drummers, some of the great drummers that we've lost in recent years and kind of just pay some tribute to a few guys, which I thought would be great. And one more piece of housekeeping. I just want to thank ProLogic's Percussion, Offset Pedals, Sabian Cymbals, Vader Sticks, Black Magic Designs for all the fun switchers and a couple new products that are coming my way, which I'll be talking about, of course. Always talking about the tech stuff. So my guests tonight are really, they need no introduction, I think, to anybody that's watching. I called this the trio of drumming royalty. And just, on the inside, we called the Zoom link the trio of madness, which, according to Soundcheck, was pretty accurate. So tonight, without any further ado, I have Stanton Moore, David Garibaldi, and Dave Weckl with us. And I think I'm going to cue some music that I think might be appropriate. You can tell me afterwards, but I think this music will be appropriate. One second. Cue the music. I'm a little late with this. All right, here we go. The trio of madness. Well, it's really a quartet at this point. But here they are, the men, the legends, and the dating game music. I thought that would be appropriate. So you all look like fine, eligible bachelors that are all spoken for, by the way. All right, that was stupid. I apologize. I take that back. Gentlemen.
Hey.
So
what's up?
It's kind of funny. Like the first two interview episodes that I did were both Stanton and David Garibaldi. You guys were like the first drummer interviews that I did.
Really?
Yeah, and so it's kind of fun having you guys on almost 2 years later.
Oh, that's cool.
And the three of you and me were coming off the heels of that sort of Rhythm Magazine thing that we did together, that project where we were talking about tech, and so I kind of felt like we had this little kindred thing going on with the magazine and then trying to do the interviews, and then Dave was moving in the middle of all of that. So I was trying to get Dave on the show, and he was like, I don't have anywhere to do this from yet. So you were kind of in the middle.
I still don't. As you can see.
Yeah, but now you're in St. Louis, so out east now, as it were. So welcome, gentlemen. And I want to kick this off with just kind of talking about what everybody's doing right now. And that, I know everybody's busy, everybody's got stuff going on, everybody's got some cool products coming out. So I just want to start with David Garibaldi and DG's notebook just came out, which is really awesome. I have my physical copy over there, which again is too far. I'm going to grab it. Hold on.
Mine, yeah.
I beat you to it, Jim.
I know, man.
You got to be ready, man.
Done messed it up. So we all got our copies. And by the way, I said that I was giving away a copy of this tonight. The winner has already been, the winner's in the queue. I don't know who it is yet, but somebody won this. A physical copy of this book. And of course, 3 other products that are all digital products, which is the Code of Funk, Stanton Moore's Groove Alchemy, and Dave's Contemporary Drummer +1. So I'm giving away with, of course, with the cooperation of the lovely Rob Wallace. We're giving away like a super drum pack of books tonight. So I'm going to announce the winner later in the show. But talk about that project and sort of, how this came to fruition, especially with, and for all of you guys, being busy touring, recording, everything that you're doing, and then still cultivating these amazing like educational products. So go.
First of all, thanks for having me on episode 100. I didn't realize that I was in the beginning of this thing as well.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Wow. Congratulations on that, man. The staying power. That's good. And these are all really good. It's all good stuff. I've tuned into a few of them. They're all really, really great,
Thanks, man.
So, congratulations. Now, the notebook, Tower Power was dark for a couple of years because we were home. There was no gigs. So that's what I spent my time on, was working on this book. And we had a lot of sessions together because you were helping me with technology in my studio. And so you were kind of seeing all of my growth pains and, all this other stuff that, I was trying to do at that time. So it took 2 years. It's based on my practice notebook, which is, I've been doing that for years. They're like practice journals. And it's not, like I woke up today and, I'm feeling this. And it's not like that. It's really what I'm practicing. I kind of detail it all out. So whatever idea hits my ear when I'm practicing, I'll write it out in detail and put a date on it and come back to it maybe on the next day or a month from now or whatever, but I'll just keep developing. And I use all this as source material for gigs and other work that I do and articles and other books and all this other thing. So I thought that I would like to do a book that was like similar to the articles that I did for Modern Drummer magazine for all those years. That were standalone, lesson that just presented an idea. And so that's what this is. It's about a presentation of ideas, as all my stuff is. I don't really teach an A to Z sort of a deal. I never learned that way. So kind of that's how it all happens for me. It's just ideas come. So this was that. And so I worked with Rob, who allows me lots of latitude with my madness and all this. I bring him these ideas. And, like the code, when the code, we did that one, the idea, to do loops and all that stuff, there really wasn't the technology available at the time. We had to look for somebody to do that. So we had the idea, but no way to make it happen. So it took us 2 years to do that one as well. So we finally found Tony Verderosa, who was able to do exactly what we wanted with the loops and all that. And so with this idea, I tried and failed to be a video studio at my house. That didn't work, so I ended up, I have a lot of cables. I have a lot of that.
You do own a lot of cables now.
A lot of cables and a lot of really nice gear. And so, there was that. I mean, it was a challenge, but it was still really enjoyable, really fun. And I think, the way that the book turned out is very personal, really, kind of an informal look at how to create and how to practice, that sort of stuff. And so that's what it is. I saw this quote, I don't know, few years ago by Mark Twain, don't let school get in the way of your education.
Right.
And that's, kind of like sums up the way that I've learned and my experience with Tower Power and all of the, the music that I really love. It's creative. There's no rules, and, you just build things.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. So that's what this is. And I'm really honored to have it out. It's just, it's just such a cool thing. Plus, and then Tower's working. We got the Million Gig March going, so we're doing gigs, and it's rolling.
Awesome. That's great. And so I have my copy here. I'm going to be digging into this. Stanton's got his copy. Dave, we got to send you one.
I was going to say, where's my copy? I don't have one yet.
And I think like when you and I were working on the video stuff together, you were showing me you were sending me little PDFs of things that you've been working on for the book. So I kind of got a little sneak peek early on, but I know trying to film everything yourself is extremely frustrating, as everybody here knows from doing your schools. And like when I did my book, I did all the video clips, all the audio by myself, every once in a while with like a college intern in here just to, push record on some devices. And at the time that I was doing it, I had a memory card shoved into all these various GoPros, and then I would try to hit this ridiculous remote that wouldn't start everything, and then I would be missing the foot cam. It was just so frustrating. So I've been there. I understand that the technology's gotten better. So
I think you figured it out.
Yeah, I definitely figured it out. Dave, so your online school, of course, is still running strong, and I've subscribed to that for a long time. And so tell me, how is the school coming along? Is there anything new with the school? And also, I want you to mention about the Drum Fantasy Camp that's coming up in August with, I have my list. Simon Phillips this year, Mark Juliana, Steve Smith, and of course, you're doing all of this while you're going to be out touring with the Dave Weckl, Tom Kennedy project, which is insane. So, Dave Weckl, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Jim, for having me on, man. I have to, first of all, it's always great to see you other cats, and everybody, and it's an honor to be here with y'all. And it's, I just want to give you a huge shout out, man, which I did in the first place anyway, because when COVID hit, it was like, oh man, what are we going to do? Nobody's working, nobody's touring. And so I dove in heavily to the online teaching thing, and I had already had the school going for a little while. So along with my partner, Steve Orkin, who also is tied in, and the Drum Fantasy Camp is his deal, so it's his production for that I started doing. I am just coming back now after a little bit of a hiatus from taking part in that camp. So I'm happy to be doing that again. But I was involved with the first 10 in a row, I think, that we started way back when. So I'm really excited to be going back to that with all those guys, those fabulous drummers you just mentioned.
Yeah.
And so the online school, and that's exactly how we do it. Still, actually, we just put memory cards and a bunch of cameras, and then I do the audio mix, and Steve goes home and does the video mix and the editing. And that's how we've done it. We've got almost 60 hours of material on the school now, and he just came out here in January, and we filmed a bunch of stuff at Autumn Hill Studios, which is kind of in my move a year and a half ago now, that when I came from LA back to St. Louis here, the whole thing was, oh man, I can can afford to buy something big enough and have my dream studio. Well, little did I know that process of building the dream studio is still going on. So,
oh man,
my downstairs in this house here is a construction site still, but it's getting closer. And
okay.
Hopefully within a couple months, that'll be happening. But this is my little office setup here now that everything's a silent head, so it's so I can teach in here, and it's pretty cool.
Low volume cymbals from Sabian.
What's that?
Low volume cymbals from Sabian.
Yeah, low volume cymbals from Sabian, silent stroke heads from Remo, and I love the Pro Logic practice pad as well. I'm kind of halfway an endorser. I think we've never really hooked up the actual agreement, but I love these pads, man. They're great.
Yeah.
So you got me into it, man, and. I've got all my switchers now, so I can switch my
Nice.
my positions and just upgraded my switcher as well. So that became my whole line of work, man. And during COVID, which was to just teach, and thankfully there was a bunch of students home too, and cats that wanted to study, because nobody was going anywhere. So it was a nice period to be able to get to teach some folks and hang out and kind of, be with people, during that whole mess. And it's kind of still going on. But thankfully we're all back out touring. For the most part, I've been certainly busy, as you mentioned, with Tom Kennedy's project that was scheduled to start back in the spring of 2020.
Right.
And we finally got to go on tour last year in November, and we just got back a couple of weeks ago from kind of an extension of that tour in Europe. And now this week we got a concert hit in St. Louis, and then we're going to the West Coast for a few days at Catalina's in LA, and then this new place in Ventura, the Grape, and then we're heading up to Seattle Jazz Alley for a couple of shows. So it's nice to be back out playing. It's David, Stanton too. I don't know about you guys, but man, trying to get back into the touring frame of mind. It's like I have to remember how and what to pack and like get back into show mode. It was kind of a weird, surreal realization of like, how do I do this? I don't remember, So yeah, the online school with Steve is really, with our Facebook page is really, really nice. It creates sort of an interactive thing, and there's some great students there, and some real long-term cats that have been hanging out for a while. So really appreciate those guys, and I have fun with that interaction, and like I said, there's all kinds of lessons on the school, and I'm like I said, I'm still doing private stuff too from here right now, and besides that, that's like I said, my biggest project at the moment is building this studio downstairs. So I'm just so excited to get that going, so I can get back into creative mode and start doing some live Facebook things again, and I'm actually anxious to start writing and doing more records and things like that too. So there's a lot of plans. I'm just waiting for the crews to show up and finish and get it done.
Right.
So that's kind of my world. Yeah.
And the challenge of, first of all, moving a studio across the country, and then relying on the folks that are going to build that out, getting all the permits in place, which I know earlier on, there was a challenge at first.
Well, like I said, my friends here, Rob and Mike Silverman, have just helped me out so much. And, my buddy Jay Aller is here, and he's kind of responsible for the design of the studio together with all of us. And yeah, I couldn't have done it without all these cats, man. They just helped me out so much. So, but it's kind of nice to be back here. I dig the seasons again, and like everything's half price, which I really like. So.
Nice. And is the simulator in the house somewhere?
Simulator's in the bedroom right now. So luckily my wife spends most of her time in Italy, so she hasn't been here since the simulator got set up in there, because that would not fly. I know.
Yeah.
My wife.
For those of you who don't know what kind of simulator we're talking about, racing car simulator. So
driving.
Yeah, driving.
I still pretend to be young enough to do that, but
well, so
it's fun.
Not getting out on the track these days, right?
Well, I am still, actually.
You
a
are?
little bit. There's actually a track here, too. Yeah, I still have my car, so I do that, too, for fun. Yeah, I haven't been able to do it lately, though, because it is seasonal here, not like California. It's a little bit year-round there. So it's a little bit seasonal, but I've been too busy. I've just been touring, and, so I haven't been able to go out, unfortunately.
Yeah. You have that in common with the late Neil Peart. And
that's right.
You guys drove together once.
In California, he came out to my track day and drove one of his cool cars, and that was a great hang. That was really special.
That's a crazy memory.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Stanton, my man.
What's happening?
So, the Academy's rocking.
Yeah.
Galactic's playing. Garage Artois playing.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I might be more active than I ever have before. You know, we went from 2 years of everybody just trying to figure out new ways of doing things, and you know, as Dave was saying, I want to give you a huge shout out for anyone watching who's not aware. Jim Toscano took a lot of us under his wing, and Dave Weckl being one of the guys, David Garibaldi, and he really helped usher us through a very dark time of not being able to play gigs or tour or even be in the same room with a student. So, you know, what do you do with that? And then my friend Dave Stanek was like, man, you got to reach out to Jim Toscano. And I can't thank Jim enough for helping myself and Nick Solnick, my engineer, helping us learn how to stream. So that was really, really helpful in that period. And as you mentioned, I do have an online school as well, Stanton Moore Drum Academy, and I've been posting lessons up there for a while. And now we've been doing some live streams to go along with that as well. And I have been getting back to touring on top of all of that. So those 2 years were great because I was able to write a lot of lessons, film a lot of lessons, learn how to stream. And now I did in February a 3-week tour on a bus with 11 people. And Dave, as you said, talk about surreal shock of like, oh my God, how did I ever do this in the past? 11 people, you're trying to get ready to go on stage and you're washing your hands and you got somebody else trying to get a paper towel. Somebody else, we travel with an espresso machine. So,
Thank
you know,
God.
one body's over here trying to make an espresso and you're trying to like, you know, so it's just like living on top of each other for 3 weeks in the mountains, in the snow. And then we did 3 weeks in March on the East Coast as well. So, you know, as David Garibaldi was saying, getting back to the million gig march and
Nice.
trying to keep all this online stuff going as well. So, you know, right now I've got several things that I'm excited about. I'm taking all of the writings that I've done on the Academy and I'm releasing those soon as an ebook. That's going to be a 250-page ebook that is all of the writings that I've been doing over the last several years. And then I've got 2 other books in the can as well. So during the pandemic, I had already learned Finale, but I started learning InDesign during the pandemic and started laying out my own writings. And now I'm gonna release all of that as an ebook as soon as I can get these brush diagrams finished.
Right.
So working on all that, and then since you asked, you know, things we're working on, I might as well show you this. I've been working on the Lunar Crash with Zildjian.
Right.
So, oh yeah, Nick Solnick's going to give you the overhead.
Nice.
So 7 craters, which create a very trashy sound, and this is the latest prototype from Zildjian. Joe Pillai is now overseeing things, and he's doing a great job, and I just got these a couple weeks ago. I got 6 new ones, and this is my favorite right now.
Wow.
So that's coming out in the fall. So between the online drum school, working on publishing my new ebook, this new cymbal, I just got back from a festival in Columbus, Ohio this morning. So we played that yesterday. So, you know, it's like, it's interesting. We took a break from touring, then our main focus started becoming the online stuff, right? And now touring's coming back, so now it's like, and I'm trying to keep up with all the online stuff, and it's wonderful and it's awesome. It's just we got a lot going on.
Remote rig. I know for Rich Redmond, who tours with Jason Aldean, I helped him put together a little remote rig with like a laptop, a little, 2i2 interface with a couple of mics, and so he can do online kind of teaching stuff from his hotel room on just a practice pad and a mic. Although he won't wear the thing that I have some of you guys wearing. He's like, man, I'm not wearing that helicopter headset. But the so he wears like a lav and he's got a mic on his pad, and so he's got like a remote rig. So you need a remote rig for the bus. Except with 11 people, that might be kind of challenging.
That might be challenging. I like focusing. Like when I get into something, I like when I'm in here in the studio, this is what we're doing. And then I've thought about a remote rig. I need to get a rig at the house, like what Dave has set up with the silent strokes and the low volume cymbals. I have a setup like that at the house. And then Jim, you and I have been talking about taking one of my cameras and moving it over to the house and replacing that with an upgrade. But that is on my radar of things to do, is set up a rig in my office. Yeah,
when you guys shot that brush thing, you did that from that kit, right?
That was remote, and that was at my wife's family's beach house.
Yeah.
So I was really remote and kind of panicking because I was doing it on my own, and all I had was my laptop. So I was really panicking.
Well, that's leagues away from when you first started, and you were doing the porch streams, remember? Mm-hmm. And there was all kinds of issues.
All kinds of issues. But we learn and we improve.
We work through it. Yeah.
Yeah, we still have some things to work out, but.
Man, I have to say, like it's really funny. All you guys are very different players. Stylistically, approach-wise, really different creativity. The creativity is at the highest level, but really different sounding people. But the one really common thing, besides all being extremely creative types, is the commitment to one, education, which is a common thread for all of us. I'm a drum teacher as well. And so like the commitment to education, but also the commitment to the craft at the highest level, which, getting to know all of you guys, and of course it's evident in the playing and on record, that you're all super, super dedicated. And to use a quote from Dom, like, why did we all choose the path seemingly of the most resistance? It's like the thing that everybody does is like the hardest thing really to do. But of course you've found success in that. But I think it all comes from that persistence, and the gift being the ability to be that persistent. Like, I remember John Riley quoting, I think it was John Riley quoting Philly Joe Jones or something, and he was saying, the gift is not the talent of being able to play drums. The gift is the ability to stay with it and work super hard at it no matter what, is really that gift. So how did, we can go around, Dave, how did you find that ingredient in you? Was it always kind of there with everything in your life, or is it sort of, once you got onto the playing, did it sort of cultivate?
I'd probably have to give my father a lot of credit because, he was an Army staff sergeant and super, perfectionist, type of quality. He was an athlete. And he was a musician too, or in his early days. He didn't do that for a profession, but he always instilled in me that, if you're going to do something, it's not worth doing unless you do it right. So, there's the one kind of thing that stuck with me, and, it was tough. I couldn't do a lot of things good enough for him, So the music was the one thing where it was like, okay, yeah, you could do this, and so I got the support, and it was inspiring for me to continue. But it also is. It's a very individual thing, and this is one thing you can see, in having kids, in just understanding students, different people. There's certain degrees of natural ability, but there's also just the drive, man, just the willingness to sacrifice what most people are not willing to sacrifice, but it's not like I had to do it. if I didn't do it, something was wrong, because it just became, the better I got as a young kid, the more inspiring it was. And then and so it was just never an option for me to do anything else, because I would listen to, it started with Jack Sperling, of course, Rock and Roll Records, but, Buddy Rich and Gadd and David Garibaldi, and, it was like all these inspiring drummers playing this stuff that I could not play. And I was just goo-goo about it. It's like, how do I do that? How do I learn how to do that? And I spent hours trying to figure it out. And so I still do. And it's just a lifelong quest that isn't a job. It's not something that, like I said, it's not something I have to do. It's like I said, if I don't do it, I'm miserable. That's why now, without my studio, it's like the gray hair is getting grayer, it's getting thinner. It's like I'm driving myself out my mind. Thankfully I have this, and thankfully I'm on the road a lot. But yeah, so it's got to be, man. It's just it's a magnet, It just pulls you into, And I still get online, It's like we were just hanging out the other day at Jay Oliver's house, and we were watching videos until 2 a.m, man. And most of them I was pulling up because they had never seen some of this stuff with Buddy Rich and and Gene Krupa. And it's just, I still to this day, I'm almost like going, come on, man. It's like, you halfway want to quit, and at the same time it's like, damn it, I want to do that. I still got to figure that out. What is that? So it's like, it's just that natural thing of aspiring to be the best you can be. It's not a matter of being better than somebody else. It's because
Right.
There is no such thing anyway. This is not a sports competition. So it's just always been that way for me. I've had that drive. I got to do it. That's it.
And there's that love of it, like you said.
Well,
you're
of course.
staring at videos still, right? We go down the rabbit hole watching guys play, and you're just
I still sit here and go, let's see, how can I make this stick work, another way? It's like goo-goo.
Yeah. To
Still
quote
doing it.
my buddy Brian Dunn said, he goes, one of his early teachers said to him, if you're going to do this, you better really love it. Because otherwise you're going to be miserable because of the amount of work and the amount of, persistence that it takes. What about you, David? Like, did it come that you were cultivating that drive, maybe the way Dave did, the original drive from his father, or where did that come from for you?
Well, I don't know, man. I'm the only musician in my family, I kind of was the black sheep of the family in a way, because I just did things a little differently than everybody else. I'm sure my parents weren't so pleased, when they discovered that I wanted to be a musician. But, they never interfered, ever. They just encouraged me to do what it was that I was inspired to do. And it was, I owe them that, It's such a wonderful thing, They allowed me to find my way, as painful as it was. And, it was such a blessing, man, to grow up here in the Bay Area, where there's such a rich musical tradition here, and at the time I was, a teenager, and, late teens, early 20s. This was like heaven musically, man. There was so many great things going on. And, the Tower guys sort of came out of that. So much music here of different kinds, of every style of music was here, and really thriving and super creative. I think that kind of was my main thing, is I wanted to have a personality in my playing like my heroes did. I could listen to my favorite drummers, and I knew kind of who it was. They had a signature way that they did things. It was very personalized, and I wanted that. I wanted to have that in my art, And thankfully I met the guys in Tower, guys like Mike Clark too. Mike was one of the very first guys I met after I got out of the military. Him and Paul Jackson, and they were involved in all of this too. And I met the guys in the tower. Mike and I were playing in this band. We were subbing for a drummer in a band called the Reality Sandwich. That was the name of the band. And it was like a bunch of drug dealers. I'm not kidding. And it was really a hardcore kind of a thing. But Mike and I were the subs for this drummer. And the guys in the tower used to come in and sit in. And one night, they came in, two of the horn players now passed away, Skip Mesquite and Mick Gillette. And they said, "Are you interested in coming to check us out? We might be making a change in the drummer." They had won this record deal at the Fillmore West in San Francisco. They had this Tuesday night thing called Sounds of the City, which was a battle of the bands, and they won it. And so they won a record deal with Bill Graham, the famous Bill Graham, with one of his labels. And Bill was our first manager. So it was pretty awesome. So I went and I checked the guys out, and they were playing like original music and really obscure cover songs that only you would know about if you were a musician. And then they were arranging them kind of in their own way. And I'm going, man, I knew I was going to be in it before they even knew I was going to be in it. The first night I heard him was at Keystone Corner in San Francisco, and which was an unbelievable place anyway with all the great music. That's where I first heard Chick Corea with Stanley Clarke and Lenny White.
Yeah.
Was in there. It was, one of the great venues here in San Francisco that had so much great music there all the time. Rick Marotta, I saw Rick Marotta in there with some band, David Spinoza, and some artist from New York, and he came out. So it was like that. And so when I heard the tower and finally got a chance to be in it, it was like just a perfect match of everything, personalities, musical interests, everything. And it just became where, I just didn't ever want to be in anything else, and I was in other things because we were a bunch of drug addicts and weirdos. And so, there were points in time where I left the band because I couldn't stand seeing everybody so wasted all the time and throwing away what we had,
Right.
And so I think I was in and out of the band 4 times. So this last time was 1998 I came back. And so I'm going to be here until I'll probably have a walker next to the drums at some point. I don't know, but this is like my life, it's
And
such an incredibly creative place.
Yeah.
We're still building it, it's a work in progress. It's so much fun all the time. Really, I'm not kidding. It's just such a satisfying musical thing. It's very challenging. We make it as challenging as we can. We can have in it whatever we want. So I treasure it. We all treasure it. We try to keep it at the highest level that we can. We respect what we have, And
And
so
I think
don't know, man.
you've told me, that, sort of being the side man and, doing sessions and that you really were happier in the band situation, and you're still there. And I think part of what you're saying is that the drive that we're all talking about really comes from having the right situation. It was the right ingredient for you personally that you were able to bring to the table what you do, which there were no rules. You and Rocco were making up these grooves that were like, no one else was playing like that, right? So, and
I just I like the band environment.
Yeah.
I just liked being able to look across the stage and see guys that I know intimately,
Yeah.
and we have a great musical chemistry, a personal chemistry. we say stupid shit to each other. We we laugh. I mean, it's just such a wonderful thing to have something like that.
Yeah. I think all of you guys sort of have that in common. I mean, long tenures with certain bands or, your own projects. Dave, you're, playing with Tom and having that long-term relationship. You really trust each other. You're comfortable together. You write together. It's sort of a special thing, really.
Yeah, that for sure. I mean, with Tom and also obviously with Chick, we had it was on and off again too. But the electric band and the acoustic band. I mean, it was just family, man.
Yeah.
Was,
And I just want to mention, of course, I was at the show at Lincoln Center, the tribute to Chick, which was amazing and beautiful, and there were just so many folks there playing, and I think Herbie wasn't even on the bill. And Herbie Hancock played, and Christian McBride was playing, and Antonio Sanchez came out and did a couple tunes, and Brian Blade, the hardest working man in showbiz, because he was playing tunes, and then he kept thinking that he was done, and he would go to walk off stage, and Christian's like, no, man, you're still playing. He'd take his stick back and go back. But it was a really special night, and Gad came out and played, and then you guys all played together at the end, which was really fun to watch. I was like in the third row right in front of the drum kit, and you guys were all hopping on the drums, changing it up, running over to the percussion. Yeah, it was really something special. So
it certainly was.
Yeah, really beautiful. I was just glad that I was there. I'm assuming that it probably, was it not filmed and it's not going to be released?
It was definitely filmed. I have no idea what they're going to do with it, though.
Yeah.
But it was certainly filmed.
That'll kind of be up to Chick's wife, I would think, yes?
Not sure, man.
Yeah.
I really don't know. All I know is we were all there out of love for Chick, and it was just an incredible night. And, I mean, for me, listen, I love all those drummers, man, Antonio, Brian, Luisito, man, all, but for me, anytime I get to play with with Maestro Gad, it's like, I'm on another planet,
yeah,
man. So that was just awesome. That was cool.
Yeah. There was a lot of love in that room, and I mean, there's part of me that's like, wow, it's just a special thing that once in a lifetime kind of thing. But it would be nice to see it if they do release it. But I would understand if they didn't.
It's a Lincoln Center thing, so whatever they decide to do.
And Patitucci did an incredible job MDing the whole thing, and of course you guys playing together was at the highest level. It was just so much fun. So
thank you. Yeah,
and it was good to see you, in New York, and get to say hi and briefly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Stanton, my man, where do you get the drive from?
Well, for me personally, music and drumming is the one thing in life that excited me the most. And when I was very, very young, and still to this day, like being close to live music that is really moving for you, and you have those involuntary responses of, oh my God, or whatever it is, and you find yourself yelling involuntarily because it's so good. That doesn't happen with anything else for me. I mean, maybe food sometimes, but I was blessed to grow up in New Orleans and get exposed to Mardi Gras parades at a very young age. And I started noticing when I was very young that the power of the marching lines coming down the street, I would just jump up and down, and it was just the most exciting thing in the world. And I didn't really grow up in a musical household per se, in that my parents didn't play instruments, but my mom loved the Mardi Gras parades, and my dad loved music, and put together this whole 1970s tube stereo system, and we would listen to music all the time. And during Mardi Gras, we would listen to the music of the Meters, Dr. John, the Wild Magnolia Indians, Professor Longhair. So as I became 17, 18 years old and started digging deeper into instrumental meters and all of these types of things, and started studying with Johnny Vodakovich at about 17, 18 years old, and started getting into what Johnny was doing and getting to see him live on a regular basis, and then meeting this student of his and getting to see that student live on a regular basis, and that was Brian Blade. So getting to go from a Johnny Vodakovich gig to watch Brian when he was just starting to develop, and then getting to go out later and see Russell Batiste.
Oh my God.
And getting to see all of that in one night. And then also Shannon Powell and Herlin Riley, and being like, oh my God, like just being so moved by something I would see Brian do, and then later in the evening being so moved by something that I would see Johnny do, and then again later in the evening being so moved by seeing something that that Russell would do, and then just being, I have to learn how to do this. I have to be able to do my own version of this. And what's so great now that things are starting to open up, I think we are all friends with Victor Salazar, right? So
Yeah.
Victor came to New Orleans for his first time a week and a half ago. And
His first time?
First time to New Orleans.
What?
And I got to bring him and Jimmy Chamberlain out to hear Shannon Powell at Preservation Hall and Johnny Vodakovich at the Maple Leaf, all within one evening.
Wow.
And to get to see this through Victor and Jimmy's eyes, and they're just like, oh my God. And we're literally sitting from here to I could touch Shannon. And Shannon is swinging out so hard at a volume level that is this. And there are no microphones in Pres Hall. And so when people are singing, you have to play underneath that level. And the subtleties of what Shannon's doing on the bass drum and the way that he's buzzing on the snare and swinging on the cymbal, it's just, and being able to be that close to it and for so long now, it's just so moving to me and so exciting. And there's nothing else like it in the world. And I want to be able to swing out like Shannon Powell. I want to be able to play slushy New Orleans stuff on the snare drum like Johnny V. I want to be able to play the funkiest stuff that you've ever heard in the world like Russell Batiste. And then to be able to create these wonderful musical explosions that happen like Brian Blade. So I was able to be exposed at all of that from a young age. And I started playing because I was excited by the stuff that I would hear in the streets of the Mardi Gras parades. And then at 17, 18, realizing that we had some of the best drummers in the world in New Orleans, and going out and seeing that live on a nightly basis, it just kept driving me to get better and better.
I have to also wonder, I was thinking about this earlier. This is a little bit off topic, but I wonder what a conversation with Freddie Gruber and Johnny V would be like.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I can hear it in my head.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Let me interject something. A conversation with Freddie Gruber and anyone is something to behold, because it's mostly Freddie. So
That's true. Remember, Dave, when we first started working together, and I was like, "How would Freddie have done with online lessons?" And you were just like, "No."
We used to go to these dinners at the NAMM show, and Freddie was at these dinners, and I could never understand what he was saying. It was so cryptic. And all of a sudden, one night at a dinner, I started to understand him, and I thought, what just happened in my head? I finally understood what he was talking about. And we had hung out so much, and I never got it. All of a sudden, boom.
You sure it wasn't the bourbon? Was it?
No, it wasn't that.
No.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Now,
that.
my first lesson with Freddie was 6 hours long, and I walked out of there going, I didn't learn a damn thing. It was, like it was just 6 hours of stories. And I finally had to tell him. I said, Freddie, it's $100 an hour, man, back then. And I was like, I can't pay you for the stories, man. I got to learn something. So I figured out how to actually study with him, which was sit him down in front of a TV with videos and let him look at Buddy, let him look at Tony, let him look at all these guys, and he'd be like, "Yeah, see that." I was like, "What?"
Wow.
And then he'd actually start explaining, all of the what's a good word for it, David? Help me out. It's like all of the atmospheric, Zulu stuff, that was just, because I never got it either. I was like, what are you talking about, man? And it just came down to basically simply, the one thing Freddie said to me that I'll never forget, he said, if you can't stomp your foot and shake your ass, it don't mean anything.
Nice. Put that on a bumper sticker.
Yeah, and everything that he taught me anyway from that point was, some of it was technical based, but it was all a means to an end to get the feel,
Yeah.
That it was quite an eye-opening experience once I figured out how to study with him.
So your Freddie Gruber was Stanton's Johnny V. And what about for you, David? Was there like an educator?
Freddie was one guy.
One guy.
Because,
but that was early.
Chester was, yeah.
Yeah.
But that was really kind of profound.
Yeah.
I didn't have somebody as cryptic as them, and I mean Johnny V. I've seen him play and talk to him and all that. I mean he's really a unique person. I would love to have been able to study with him. My teachers were much more, I don't know, grounded, I guess, in a way. One teacher I had who was really meant a lot to me. He just passed away. His name was Chuck Brown, and he was here in the Bay Area, and he was the first guy that really showed me about the discipline of learning. He was just a really incredibly intense guy, really old school. You weren't prepared for your lesson, he'd throw you out, that kind of stuff. But he was just, very kind, and wanted you to do well. He had very, very high standards. It was unusual. He was like this African American guy who had all these young dudes, studying with him here in the area. And he was like laying down the law, man. It was just I learned a lot from that experience, It was pretty cool. It changed my whole life, really.
Teachers can do that, right? Can really change the direction in the course, or a teacher can also destroy somebody's hopes and dreams if it's the wrong person,
Yeah.
But
Jim, I was already kind of like building beats and learning about all of that stuff and had all this creative stuff, and it was very raw,
Yeah.
And so studying with Chuck there was so much discipline in it, and I learned how to focus. It changed the whole way that I played. So if you listen to the East Bay Grease recording, which is the first Tower one, that was pretty raw. And then when we got to like What Is Hip, that recording, that's the period that I was back to Oakland. I was studying with Chuck then, and you can hear the difference in the way that I played and the way that I hit the drums, and everything was just compositionally was more organized.
Right.
It was big, a big moment.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's really interesting to point out is, because it's recorded when, the point before and the point after and what the transformation was. That's really good information to be able to point to. Sort of like Neil Peart studying with Freddie much later in his career, right? Just deciding that he wanted to, get his hands together more and, maybe having some physical things coming up, but then, seeing the transformation of people. That's pretty intense. To be able to have it documented that way. Yeah. I want to talk about bass players in a second, but I think we should. I've been ignoring the chat window, and I just want to make sure that we say hello to some people, because if we don't, they're going to get mad at me. They're going to be like, what do you have a chat for if you're not going to answer it? And there's definitely, I already see a bunch of names that we all probably know. GS Drums is in here, which just friended me today. I'm not sure, GS Drums, who you are, but I saw you on Facebook. We're friends now. I'll look you guys up. Kevin Lehman in the house, of course. Hey, Kevin Lehman, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, Kevin?
Nick Capoulos, as always, in the chat. My young, wonderful Lucia Seminara in the chat. She was in person with me on Sunday at her lesson, which was great. And we were doing some Joe McCarthy Latin big band stuff. And yeah, so really cool to have her in person. Lou said, hey, Jim, hey, Dave, and David and Stanton. How's everyone? I can't wait for tonight's show. Awesome. Matthew Moeller with us. Of course, the great-grandson of Sanford Moeller. Probably not, but I'll say that. Matthew Moeller. Ross Amoroso hanging with us. Bill Hopkins from Staten Island, New York. Great student of mine hanging with us. Bob Sears, another great student of mine up in New Hampshire. Happy Centennial Filling in the Grooves episode. Thank you. You spelled episode wrong. I'll have my editor get in touch with you. Bill Hopkins, Jim in the dark. Larry Rizzo. Hi, everyone. Hey, Larry, what's happening? He said, I hope everyone's having a great day. Looking forward to the hang. Stephen Chamberlain in Canada hanging with us. Great friend of mine, and we've done some wonderful clinics together. Stephen, welcome. By the way, Dave, Weckl is Stephen Chamberlain's, like, he doesn't stop talking about you.
No, thanks.
Pete Bartone, congratulations on 100 episodes. Kevin Lehman, congrats on 100. Pete Bartone. Vincent LaRussa, great friend of mine, former student because he's now a trader. He's a bass player. So he is playing drums some, but we'll say that he's a trader. He owns about 75 basses now. He's obsessed. Maxim Diomin hanging with us from the Ukraine. Maxim is from Kyiv. And, man, I don't know how you do it, brother. You've been doing drum circles in the Ukraine throughout the whole war. And we had a page going, and we were sending some funds to Ukraine to help those folks. So I don't know how you do it, but I'm so glad you're here. Anna V Music hanging with us. Joey Pinto hanging with us. Good evening. Congratulations. If anybody has questions, put the questions in. It's a lot of hellos and congrats. Peter, Lucia, Kevin, Bill, Steve Balgoyan from Colorado hanging with us. Great guy. Stan, you know Steve. Yeah, Stevie B's with us. Ronaldo Rodriguez hanging with us from Brazil. Very cool. Stacy Keenan hanging with us. Gary Weiss, great drummer from New York, plays with Darlene Love and Gloria Gaynor. He's also a southpaw like me. So thanks for hanging, Gary. Gary's a good guy. Stan, Big Stan in Pennsylvania hanging with us. Stanton knows Big Stan. He goes to your camp, right?
Yeah, I saw him yesterday.
Oh, that's right. You were in Ohio.
He drove over.
Yeah, Big Stan hanging with us. Jeremy Steinkohler hanging with us. Awesome. So glad you're here, Jeremy. Neil Bam Feldman. Neil Feldman. Bam. Very cool. John Gill from Oneonta, New York, hanging out. He just downloaded Dave's notebook yesterday on Hudson. Oh, it's in digital already?
Yeah, it just happened.
Make sure that you get your paper copy also. I'm a big fan of own the paper, own the digital, own them both, because that way you can take this with you and write stuff in it. I don't know. I just like books. I like to smell them, hold them. Dave Clive from Dave Clive's Gretsch Museum hanging with us tonight. Dave is a very close friend of mine from Brooklyn, New York, and he is probably was Stanton's very first guy that signed up for your drum camp practically. He's been to every single one of them, right? And he has an amazing Gretsch collection, so many times he's outfitted Stanton with drums when Stanton's played in New York. So Dave Clive hanging with that. And also Dave was on my show, and we did Vintage Drum Night, and he had some incredible snare drums that he brought in. So it was really, really quite fun. And Jim Royal, another great educator drummer from Connecticut, hanging with us from Jim Royal's drum studio. Let's see. Adam Deitch, is that you? No, that's not Adam Deitch. That's from somebody on Twitch. Twitch is sketchy. We're never sure what's going to come out. Congrats on a tour in the U.S. and using Staten Island's own Bob Francisini, of course. Bob is a good friend of mine, and of course he was in Victor Wooten's band for a long time, playing with Dennis Chambers and Victor Wooten, and he's on Dave's project with Tom Kennedy and killing it, absolutely killing it. I mean, Bob always does. So, yeah, man, Bob Francisini out on the road with Dave. Who else? Come to New York, everybody, I guess. Somebody just wrote, come to New York. Nick wrote that. Come to New York, everybody. I've noticed 2 strainers on the snare. I never saw that before. Which snare? Oh, on Dave's? Oh, yeah.
That's my signature design when
Right.
Yamaha was making signature snare drums. Yeah. One is tight, one is loose. That's basically the whole thing. So together they have tight for precision and buzz for the buzz, and then you can also have a different sounds by
Different strainers,
so
right? I mean different snares. So are the 2 snares the same width that are
they're
on
the
your
same
drum?
size.
Okay.
Yeah, they're the same size. One is stainless steel, the other is regular steel.
Oh.
A little bit more high end on the stainless. But yeah, they were. The most recent was a brass shell, 5.5 by 14. That was a limited edition for my 30th anniversary with Yamaha. So that was the latest one. They're floating around on eBay. You can find them. They're not cheap anymore. But,
Hey, Vincent LaRusso, Vincent, who collects basses, he also collects snare drums. Do you have that one, Vin? Let me know if you have that snare drum. It's probably very rare. So let's see, who else?
there were a few iterations.
Yeah. Ray Levere hanging with us. Ray's a great drummer from upstate New York. He's going to be on the show soon. So Ray's hanging with us. He's been playing with his band around New York a bit, and since things have loosened up, I know you played at the Cutting Room and a few other venues with Willie, I believe, on bass on some of that. Very, very cool. Will's a great player. I actually did a session when I was 17, and Will was singing on it, and I didn't really know of him that much at the time, but I knew that he played on the David Letterman show. But he was in there doing background vocals, and I was very intimidated. Ross Amoroso with a question. Hi, Stan. I want to say, comment. I want to say how much I enjoy your Drum Academy. The lessons are so interesting. It's fantastic. I can't recommend it highly enough. Thank you so much. I hope to see you soon. Philip Firstenau. Here we go. Awesome, gentlemen, and congrats. All Dave's signature snare models have 2 strainers, says Peter. Is that true? Every one of them?
Yes, that's true.
This is true.
Yeah, there's different iterations. Yeah, there's a 14 and a 13. There's brass, aluminum, and maple, and so that's what they used to make. Yeah.
Wow, cool. Bob Sears, Jim has helped so many. Yes, I've helped a lot of drummers. That is true. And I'm happy that I've been able to do that, make connections. It's really the connections have been the most amazing part of it. Of course, I'm still doing this. Every week, I get calls from guys to help set them up. I'm going to be doing Cobham's setup because he may be coming back to the States. So, yeah. So it's not confirmed yet, but it may be happening. And if it does, I'll be setting up his stuff. And I think I'll be doing Will Calhoun, his setup pretty soon, which would be super fun.
I just saw Billy. We were at the same festival in Lisbon, Portugal.
Nice.
And he freaked me out, man. He came to my show and he sat through the whole thing and watched the show. I was just like blown away. I was like, wow.
He mentioned that at lunch the other day, by the way. And he said how great he thought you were playing. Yeah.
Oh, that's so, man. He was one of my first major influences, man. Wow.
Yeah.
I love Billy. He's great.
By the way, as I mentioned earlier, his drum set from Warning is in Dom's studio, the whole thing. And it's I think it's 2 24-inch kicks. I might have that off, but I think it's 2 24s. 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then 3 floor toms, 16, 18, 20, a custom 20-inch floor tom, and another 20-inch kick drum, just in case, he does like a bebop gig with that kick.
In case he gets a flat.
In case he gets a flat. And it was all, Dom got Beto to send cases for the whole thing, so it's all in these cases. And Joe Bergamini and I took out one of the toms with that crazy logo, with the blue toms with the logo from the Warning record. Man. And that record was, for me, it was the first time that I heard sort of, because I knew of Mahavishnu, but hearing Billy play like groove stuff, that was like really just killing. And so that record was definitely influential. Cool, John.
Crossroads, man.
Crossroads, they're going to... They're
That was
touring
the first
that.
time I ever heard. That was the first time I ever heard Michael Brecker was on that. Was on that song on that record.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
Actually, Tower's first tour, we played at the Beavers Club on Rush Street in Chicago, and Billy came in there with the Breckers, with the Dreams guys. They came in to see us.
Wow.
Right.
So that was 1970.
Wow.
Oh my
Something
God.
like that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Wait, Dave, was that intimidating having Billy sit there watch?
For me, yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Yeah,
I would
mean,
imagine,
it's,
right?
You know, yeah. I just knew I had to. Man, I said, okay, I got to try to play good, man. Billy Cobham's out there. Shit.
That's like
You know?
it's pretty funny. Joe B and I were talking about when he did Gad's book Gadaments with him, because Joe B edits all the books, and he's great. He edited my book, and Gad was on Zoom with him, and he's like, "Yeah, Joe, play some of those examples for me." He's asking Joe to play stuff out of Gadaments for him, and he's like, "Steve, you want me to play your book for you?" He's like, "No."
Yeah.
Oh man,
That's great.
that's great.
That's great.
John Wilson, hanging with us tonight. By the way, I'm going to announce the winners soon. I know everybody's like going, "Hey, what about the stuff? You got some stuff? Hey, circus boy, you got some stuff." Let's see. Anthony Cucina said, "Stanton, can we hear that new cymbal?"
Yeah, we didn't sound check the audio on the drums, but it should be fine.
Yeah, hit it. You hit it the other night. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, so I'll start soft,
Okay.
and then let me know. Give me a thumbs up if it sounds all right.
Okay. And he muted his lav, ladies and gentlemen. That was terrific. Wow, it's almost got a China deal going on. Wow,
Nice.
that's
Nice.
very cool. I mean, from like really nice dark light ride to almost
so
a
the
China.
idea with it is that you can swing out on it with a piano trio, groove out on it, and then get all the way into heavier stuff if you need to.
Right, like the first time I saw
One-
you play with Corrosion of Conformity at BB King's in New York City. And I was like, why is this jazz drummer playing with a heavy metal band?
But yeah, I love doing like the super swampy Earl Palmer type of, real guttural. So, Dave has 2 strainers, but I'll just really loosen up the snare, right? So.
Nice.
Nice.
Very cool. Digging it.
Unfortunately, I can't show you what my snare drum sounds like because it's a silent head.
Silent string.
That's it. But actually, that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
loose snare. So it kind of works. You got the loose snare,
Yeah, I
on
can
the
hear a
thing,
difference.
and then the tight snare. Doesn't really translate so well with the silent heads, but that's the idea.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chip Ritter hanging with us from Tucson, Arizona. Very cool. Lucia has a question. Of course she does. Because she knows that I would, if she didn't ask a question at her next lesson, I'd be like, "You didn't ask any questions from the drum. What's the matter with you?" What are the steps in developing your own drumming style? So speak to, like, everybody just give a brief, how do you, cultivate your own style? When, as younger, as youth, you're kind of emulating, and then at some point it changes over to creating your own voice. Who wants to go first? Go ahead, Stan.
I'll go first if you want me to. For me, you mentioned Johnny V, and so I had a really good, solid, rudimental tutelage from Marty Hurley. So, you know, I started off on Marty's drumline, and I was not that focused. I wanted to be good, but I didn't realize how much work it was going to take. So once I realized how much work it would take, then I was like, okay, I'm going to be Marty's drum captain. I'm going to win All-State. I'm going to be his star student, right? So as I was doing all that, finishing up high school, I started taking from Johnny Vodakovich. And Johnny always, I would ask him, man, what was that groove you were playing last night, you know, at the Columns Hotel? What was that groove? And he would show me what it was, and then I could pick up on it because a lot of what he was doing was based off stickings. Then I'd go home and I would just improvise off of what he had shown me, and then I would do things like set up TV trays, and I couldn't really afford a lot of percussion at the time, so I was still in high school, so I would put things like frying pans on TV trays and mixing bowls on TV trays, and come back to Johnny, and you know, I would make recordings, cassette recordings from handheld recorders, and play him this stuff, and he would be like, yeah, bruh, keep doing that, put your thumbprint on it. And that's what he would tell me. He's like, man, yeah, keep coming up with your own versions on these things. So, you know, Johnny is so, as we discussed, he's so, you know, unique and his own kind of cat. He never discouraged me at all. So I would come up with the wackiest ideas, and he was always like, yeah, man, that's cool. Do that. So that really encouraged me. And as we said before, if I would have had a teacher who discouraged that, oh, you can't do it that way, I might not have ever developed whatever unique, if I do have a unique personal style, I would have never have developed any of that. So I think that really for me, developing whatever I might have come up with, that's my own take on things, it was from improvising and then writing stuff down in notebooks, like David Garibaldi has just released his new book, and filming and, well, back then recording myself,
right,
and then now, you know, filming stuff too. But really just handheld tape recorder. It doesn't have to be high tech. A cassette tape recorder, improvise and be like, ooh, that's something that I don't think has been done by a lot of people before, and remembering those things and developing those things.
Nice. Mr. Weckl, what do you say about that? Getting that voice.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. That's fantastic. I mean, it kind of, it's, you know, in line with the similar thing. You know, for me, my take on it now, since I'm, you know, much older and been through so many listening things with so many different people, is I think the one thing I try to convey to students, you know, more than anything, is listen as much as you can to as many different drummers and styles as you possibly can, so that your knowledge aspect of what you know, what you work out, what you practice, the things that inspire you, that turn you on, what do you want to, you know, learn in a sense of the language from different cultures and different styles, so that, you know, for me, I get away with doing a lot of stuff because most of the music I play is fusion. So the word itself insinuates fusing things together. So I am constantly referencing from everything that I've ever heard and that I listen to, and I throw it in a big pot, and it all comes out as, you know, it's like, you know, Tito Puente with a little bit of Stuart Copeland in there, and a Billy Cobham fill, and then a reference of David Garibaldi, Gad, Buddy, Elvin, Tony. It's like it goes down through the line of all the things that just turned me on as a kid that I wanted to understand. Like Stanton just said, what is that? You know, learn how to do that.
Right.
And I did that with a lot of players listening, you know, so that I tried to listen really to understand what the drums are supposed to sound like in a you know, an R&B tune versus a big band thing versus a small group bebop thing versus, you know, James Brown funk, you know, depending on the you know, the different iterations and periods, you know, because, I mean, man, when Clyde was first playing with, you know, all the guys were playing jazz drum sets, full heads on the bass drum. It was a jazz kit, traditional grip, playing a snare like this, and then all of a sudden people were taking heads off, and then it matched grip, and things changed, you know, with the rock inflection, and which is great. But you have to speak any language, you got to listen to the people that speak it, so you got to go back in the history and you got to check out all the guys and all the people that really kind of gave us the guidelines of how to play these styles. And then you make up your own mind. But the thing with that for me is that if you flood yourself with knowledge, you flood yourself with as much as you possibly can, you're going to be more likely to work and to be able to survive playing because you know how to play these different styles and you know how to sound in those different styles. And that was my goal as a kid. I wanted to become a studio musician, and I wanted to be able to play with Chick Corea. At the same time, I wanted to play with Paul Simon or whoever, and do R&B and do contemporary records and be in the studios in New York. And I kind of started to get into that, but my passion, my love for playing jazz-oriented things got me in with Chick, and then I kind of left all that other stuff in the dust because I enjoy doing that more than anything else. So that's my 2 cents, just flood yourself, listen, and get inspired, learn it, try to copy it, and then, like Stanton said, hey, what happens if don't be afraid to be visionary about what you want to create. And that's what I loved about what Stanton just said, because, to put a floor tom over here, tape a cymbal on it, I do all that kind of stuff just to try to insinuate different melodic scenarios for myself instead of always playing the same setup. Not that you have to do that, but that's a great way also to change your own thing up and become yourself, become inspired to sound different, so.
Yeah.
That's
and to pivot off of what Stanton said earlier, Daphne's Prieto actually has a cast iron frying pan on his drum kit.
Yeah.
So, he's playing.
Mounted it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sabian made him one, but I usually see him with the cast iron one when he's in the clubs.
Yeah.
David, how about you?
I think the main thing is just to be yourself. Whatever you hear, don't be afraid to do it. Give yourself permission to go out and, and try different things. Kind of the way that I came up was that's what everybody was doing. Was, I think kind of a blessing in a way was that there wasn't a lot of media. There wasn't any media to check out. There was only records, and the radio. So when you were learning how to play, you were learning from the guys in your neighborhood, you were learning from guys in your area, you were listening to records, and if you had a chance to see somebody come and play, who you listened to on a record, cool. But otherwise, you had to use your imagination to kind of assemble for yourself a way to play. And I think that's such a valuable thing. You have to use your imagination. What we do is art, no more, no less. It's, everybody wants a rule, but it's not about that. It's, you learn the language, like Dave was saying, it's language. You learn the language, you listen. When you're to become conversational in any context, what's the key component? It's listening, because then you know how to respond. If you're not a listener, you'll never know how to respond. And what we do, music is a conversation. No matter what style you play or anything like that, it's listening is such a huge part of it. One time I did a Yamaha event in Santa Barbara for some kids, and Randy Brecker was on it, and Dave Samuels, a bunch of guys, a bunch of Yamaha clinicians, right? And it was really a fun thing. We just played with all the kids and talked to them, and we did a show together at night. But one of the the things that really stood out to me was at the end of the day, all the kids were sitting there after they'd played and everything, and they were asking questions. And so one of the questions to Randy was, if there's one thing that you wanted us to walk away with today, if there was one thing that was really important, what would that be? And Randy kind of was very thoughtful. He kind of really just kind of thought about it for a second. Then and he said, listen. He said, just listen, learn to listen. And it was just such a profound thing for me, to hear him say that, And those kids, you could say they were just really checking that out. And here's like a wise man saying something like that. And I mean, it really is, it's just amazing what happens when you have that skill. And just have your ear to the ground. Listen to a lot of different, you can, aside from listening to each other when you play, but just listen to a lot of different kinds of music. Lately, I'm not listening to any drummers. I'm listening to singers. I love a lot of the new singers, P.J. Morton and, Jared Lawson. I mean, where are these people coming from? And the way they write and the way that the arrangements on the, sometimes there's cool drumming, sometimes there's minimal stuff, but it's just beautiful, 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 creative music. It reminds me, when I listen to that music, it's like when I go to art museums in Europe. I love going to art museums. The Uffizi Gallery in Italy, the Vatican Museum, the Louvre, places like that. You sit there and you look at this stuff, and it's stunning at the depth of, detail and all this other stuff. And this came from somebody's brain, and it's amazing, just like listening to you guys play, it's just amazing. And it's so inspiring. That guy Rubens that invented, he was the one, I think the first one that did, flesh tones and oil paintings so that the flesh tones, were glowing. Who thinks of this shit?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean,
it says that right under the painting. There's a little plaque.
It's just astounding, And when I listen to you guys play, I feel the same thing. It's about listening, So cool. So anyway, that's me. Be yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. And, speaking of listening, deep listening to somebody, even that you're just having a conversation with, without sitting there preparing your response, like actually listening to somebody in the way when you're playing, that you're not sitting there thinking of like, what am I going to do next? Or how am I going to respond to that? Like the spontaneity, the conversation that you're talking about, real conversation.
This is like a gig. This is what happens on a gig. The very same thing that we're doing here. I mean, you're listening. We're improvising a conversation. You are asking questions. We're listening. We're responding. Pretty soon, we'll get to the out chorus.
Right, exactly.
The song will be done.
Man.
The event will be over for the evening. Unscripted.
Stanton, are you hard pressed at 8:30? Is that true?
Well, Nick, my engineer, has a gig tonight.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right. You told me.
Nick is hard pressed. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I could look at another 15 minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna read a couple more questions. Then I have a couple things we have to announce the winners. But I just have to say, just at this point, at this little stopping point, like the conversation's been so great. Hearing everybody's sort of philosophies, getting together with the three of you has been really amazing, and just listening to you guys bring your wisdom, and I think everybody in the chat really appreciates that. Everybody's kind of sitting on the edge of their seat, waiting for the next response. So, by the way, Matthew Moeller has a question, and he says, David Garibaldi, how did the gig with Lettuce at Red Rocks come about? And was this a one-time event? And can we expect that collaboration in the future? By the way, Lettuce, Adam Deutsch is the drummer for Lettuce, and he was on the show pretty recently with his mom and his dad. And his mom is a drummer, and his dad's a musician, and so it's a very musical family. They have rudiments taped to like the cabinets and stuff in the kitchen, and they're all like playing rudiments together. It's bananas. And he's a great drummer. And I love Adam's voice is something different as well. And hearing what he brings to the table with Lettuce, especially from sort of a kind of, knowing where he came from, knowing where drumming has come from, and bringing something new to it. So he's bringing the new with the old in a really cool, kind of fresh way. I really dig what he does. But I'll let you respond to that question.
Well, we haven't done the gig yet. It's coming in July.
It's in July.
And so we're playing with a symphony orchestra, which we've never done before. And so evidently, which I didn't know, is there's a network of symphony orchestras all around the country that do this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be doing, I think there's 3 of them that are scheduled. One in San Diego, the one at Red Rocks, another one in Salt Lake City. And we're going to be performing with the symphony orchestra.
Nice.
So it's going to be pretty awesome, And then I get to hear Adam and his band.
Wow.
Nice.
Joe B and I were just talking about that because he plays with the Doo-Wop Project and they're touring with symphonies.
Yeah.
And he was talking about...
Joe B knows about that.
Yeah. And he's talking about how, certain conductors, how far their downbeat is behind the preparation. He's like,
That's gonna be interesting.
Doo-Wop Project is like, listen, Joe, just count off the tune and play time and don't look at this. Don't look at them. They'll follow you. It must be very challenging.
What took me by surprise one time, because you're right, because we're used to downbeat, but that's not how they conduct. They go, the upbeat is actually the down. This is the prep. So it's like the up. It's like so different, very different. Yeah, we have to learn that.
It's like,
we did that with Chick many years ago.
Right. Yeah.
It's like but it's like, wait.
Hello.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Tricky stuff. Sergio Bolote is with us tonight. Great drummer from in the Boston area, teaching at Berkeley. He was just on the show recently. Great guy. I helped him with his tech. Another
Who
guy.
haven't you helped, Jim?
Yeah, I know.
Really, man?
I know.
It's like everybody. I know I throw everybody to you, man. They ask me, I'm like, go talk to Jim.
I have to thank you guys for that because, and Dom Famulara's been really great with that as well. And you guys, I'll get someone that calls me up, and then I'm like, oh, how'd you hear about me? And oh yeah, Dave Weckl told me to give you a call, or or Stanton. It's pretty nice getting those recommendations. So I really appreciate that. By the way,
credit where credit's due, man. You hooked us up big time.
Yep.
So Pat Ross. Our good buddy Pat Ross hanging with us. He says, hello and God bless all my favorite drummers, Jim Toscano, Stanton Moore, Dave Weckl, who, by the way, he spent the day with at a drum fantasy camp in 2013, and Mr. David Garibaldi, whose clinic I attended online from the Philadelphia Drum Group. Hey, all, thanks for sharing your time, talents, and books with us, my friends. So that was very nice from Pat Ross, who was, of course, at your Weckl Stanton not that long ago that Stan had set up in Pennsylvania, Big Stan, it was like a school, right? Or a creative arts building or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The master class.
The master class.
Big Stan. Yeah.
Yeah, with Big Stan.
So yeah, when we say Big Stan, we're not referring to me, but yeah, Big Stan is he just came out yesterday, as I mentioned, and I'm sure Dave Weckl and David Garibaldi, I could put you in touch with him too, and he's been throwing master classes for me in the Erie, Pennsylvania area, the Cleveland area, and a couple other areas of Philadelphia, and he also helps me film and edit a lot of stuff. So Big Stan, nice. Shout out to Big Stan.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
What about the music industry direction now? So Nick Kapoulis is saying that, we grew up in a time listening to records, listening to real music. He's saying, what about the music industry direction right now? Yeah, I mean, it's changed greatly, obviously.
It's another show, man.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show.
Really?
Exactly, yeah.
Now we're
Good
sounding
answer.
like our parents.
Yeah.
Right, it's another show.
No. Steve Ford.
I'm working hard to keep the old stuff alive, man. It's,
yeah.
Like put some
I can't do
new stuff
anything
in
but
the old
that.
stuff.
Yeah,
I
heard that.
That's it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Gene Foley hanging. Jerry Zaga. Ray Grappone, great drummer from New York. Another good friend. Ray Grappone is Broadway drummer from way back when. He did Starlight Express. That's how far back that goes. And Miss Saigon, very hard show. Jim Mola hanging with us. Mola. We love you, Jim. Jonathan Schneider. Student of mine can finally catch one of these now that the semester is over. He goes to City College studying with Carl Allen. Very cool. Nice. Al Henneborn hanging with us. Rudy Sanchez. I'm just reading names. Daniel Cohen. Rip Callahan. R.P. Callahan. Joe Mattis. I should put my glasses on. Why do I always think I actually don't need these? I can't see anything without these things. Let's see.
So they're not just for show.
They're not just for show. I really need these things. Ray Elfers, Kevin Lee, Joey Pinto, Pat Ross. All right, so Marcus Drums, Sea Wife. You're a sea wife. Does that mean that you're married to like a merchant marine or something? Or let's see. All right, Lauren Del Rio. Hey. Scott Nerzik. Oh, that's right. That's your wife.
That's my wife.
Hey, Lauren. Thanks for hanging. Lauren Del Rio's with us tonight. Stanton saying hi. That was probably, I mean, the list of chat is pretty long tonight, so we're not going to get to everybody, but I almost missed your wife, so I apologize. That would have been bad.
I'm glad we got her.
Lindsay McDonald hanging with us. She said, "Hey guys, great show." So she is still listening. I think we should give some stuff away right now, because first of all, we have a Sabian 17-inch dark thin crash that we're going to give away. So Stanky and I got together. We talked about what we could give away, and Sabian is partnered on that giveaway. So we're going to give away that symbol, and I'm going to do it right now. I'm just going to click Ready to Award on this great app that Stanton and I both learned from Steve Burnside, right?
Shout out to Steve.
Our promotional guy.
Our
marketing guru, as it were. So let me hit that Sabian symbol. And Face the Music 3, I know who that is. Don. I didn't see you in the chat, Don. I'm disappointed. But you won the symbol. So I know your info. I have your address. I can make that happen very quickly. So, Don O'Keefe, great drummer and educator in Connecticut, just won the Sabian symbol, so congrats to you. I helped Don with his setup as well when he was getting his online lesson studio. We're also going to give away this epic Hudson Music Super Pack with 2 of David Garibaldi's books, because we have the new print version is going to go out of DG's Notebook, but we also have the Code of Funk. We have Dave Weckles, Contemporary Drummer +1, and Stanton Moore's.
That's a little dated. It's a little dated, but it's still very challenging.
It's still very challenging. I think it's still a great thing for every drummer to work through, and that's pre-Groove Essentials, pre-all that stuff. That was around for a while. I won't date us, but I was doing that one, and Lincoln Goines and Robbie Amin had Funkifying the Clave. Yeah, which my bass player and I from our fusion group would go through that together, because it had the bass charts and the drum charts. Super fun. But anyway, so we're going to give away the Super Pack, and that is going to what? Guess who won that? Dave Clive from Dave Clive's Gretsch Museum gets the Super Pack of stuff. Which, and by the way, Dave, I appreciate you posting pictures of your students holding my book. I appreciate that. Shameless plug, sorry. And we're also going to give away 1 year to Stanton Moore's Drum Academy. And so a year subscription. And it'll go exactly to the date that it's awarded for a year. And then I would recommend re-upping that at the end. It won't automatically re-up, but if you want to re-up that, I would definitely recommend it. And on the very last day, your computer will explode. Wait, let's see. So I'm going to pull that up. All right, Anthony Cucina, a year with Stanton Moore Drum Academy. That's incredible. So,
nice.
And these are regulars. All these guys of the show, they're in here every week, so it makes me really happy seeing these guys winning some prizes. So we appreciate that. Everybody that's been following for all these episodes, I mean, we're in 100. We got a whole bunch more, and I'm just going to keep doing this. And the reason is, it's not like I'm sitting here getting a paycheck for doing this. Nobody is. We're doing this because it's the love of the drum community, bringing stories from the most incredible players. Everybody has such an individual voice. I mean, think about a guy like Daru Jones, who brings something completely different to the table than any of the guys here, and bringing on some of the masters. I've had Billy Cobham on twice, talking to him about his stories. So it's just incredible getting everybody to really talk about what brought them to where they are, and especially for the younger drummers that are coming in here. I know it's mostly drum teachers that sort of follow my show, but there's a lot of younger drummers that are coming in and they're learning something about the business, and so I've had some business skills ones that I've brought in, which has been really fun. I had Rick Drum on recently, who's a businessman and teaching about that. I'm going to have my accountant on, which is Stanton's accountant. Alan Friedman will be on. He's like the drummer accountant, it seems, and bass players. I think there's some bass players in there. So I'm going to have an accountant on to teach some skills, and marketing guy. So, trying to bring you guys some really great information. Everybody's going to have to go soon, but I'm going to do a very quick thing. First of all, it's Memorial Day. I just want to mention we just lost Alan White, 72 years old. The second drummer in the band, Yes. He replaced Bill Bruford, who I was a giant fan of when I was a kid, following sort of those Yes records, and Alan was a great player. And I think I heard about that from Gary Husband, who had texted about it. And we also lost a great rock and roll drummer. Taylor Hawkins died way too young recently. But also, like in 2021, we lost a lot of amazing musicians. And I just sort of want to make quick mention: Melvin Parker, Chick Corea, Charlie Watts, Richard Albright. I have a humongous list. I'm not going to go through an entire memoriam, but those are some of the guys. And of course, the tribute I mentioned earlier about Chick. There was so much love for these musicians, and Dave and I were working at the time doing a lot of this tech stuff when that had happened and gone down, and it's been challenging for everybody, I think, but we remember all these guys today on Memorial Day, as well as, of course, all the service members, because we've all had service members, at least in our family, so we want to pay tribute to them. And now I'm going to do this thing. Just one-word answers, gents. This is like one-word answers. I've done this with you guys before. And you guys are on this list, so I can't really say these guys. Well, I could. That'd be funny if you just start talking about each other. But these are one-word answers. So I'm going to mention a drummer, first reaction, so you don't have to, go down the rabbit hole. It's just like, what do you say? And we'll just go around. I don't know. You guys can't see how are we in the square? Am I in the top right? For you guys?
I don't know. I'm not looking at. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, top left for me.
Oh, okay. So it's all right. So we're gonna. I'll yell out names then. All right. So, Vinny Colaiuta, Stanton Moore, go.
Precise.
Ooh, Dave Weckl.
Oh, I got same guy.
Same guy. Yeah.
Same guy. Otherworldly.
Ah, nice. David Garibaldi.
Yeah, creative.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting that Annika Niles is now playing in the drum chair of the Jeff Beck Trio, and seeing what Vinny brought to the table with that band, and now hearing someone like Annika, who's a new voice, right, in that same drum chair. I just wanted to mention that, and I'm happy for her. And it was just her birthday the other day. Happy birthday, Annika Niles. So Michael Shreve, Stanton Moore, go.
Woodstock.
David Weckl, go.
Oh man, Santana. What are you gonna say?
David Garibaldi.
Santana?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Stick brother.
Brother. Yeah, man, you're on with him every week. Well, whenever you guys do it. When's your next Stick People thing?
I think they're doing Larry Graham right now.
Oh wow, cool. Yeah, man, you guys are doing it. Steve Gadd, Stanton Moore, go.
Innovative.
Mr. Weckl.
Mr. Pocket.
Oh, yeah. David Garibaldi.
Comfort.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Who was just saying this? Oh, Billy Cobham was saying this. Somebody was asking about what they feel when Steve Gadd plays, and the question was to a singer, and they said like getting a big hug. It's pretty interesting, like a singer is going to feel really comfortable in that, situation.
When I gotta throw this in.
Okay, cool. Yeah, go for it, man.
1983, when I sat in his chair for the Simon & Garfunkel gig, Richard T. was the musical director, keyboard player. I said, Richard, what is it about Steve that everybody loves? He said, Stuffy, it's really simple. He plays what you want to hear.
Well said.
Never forgot that. Never forgot that.
All right, 2 more. Let's do Clyde Stubblefield. Stanton Moore, go.
Funky.
Yeah. Dave.
Mr. Pocket 2.
Mr. Pocket number 2. Mr. Garibaldi.
The first.
Yeah,
And
man.
You think about, I got the feeling, 1968. Listen to that today.
Yeah.
And listen to that today. That's like the grail right there.
Right.
Yeah, man. All right. It's actually 2 more. I'm sorry. Buddy Rich, Stanton Moore, go.
Technique.
Dave Weckl, go.
I still can't figure most of what he does out.
Isn't that funny? Like, everybody says that.
It's just inspiring. That's the one word. So.
Yeah. Mr. Garibaldi.
Oh, from another planet. I mean, that's a lot of words, but how can you say one word, about him,
Yeah.
It's funny, like you watch some people slowed down some video footage of him playing, and you're still looking at it in slow motion going, what?
It's not possible. That's
Right. It's like, yeah, it's not real.
It's not possible.
So our good buddy and friend, Dom Famularo, Stanton Moore, go.
Energy.
Yeah, man. Dave Weckl, go.
The most Mr. Positive in the world.
That is very true. That is very true. Mr. Garibaldi.
Commitment.
Oh, yeah. And actually, if anybody's wondering, he's doing really well. He's at home. His wife's kicking his butt. And we're trying to keep him inspired. And he's doing a great job. He's not drinking enough water,
Right.
so we yell at him for that. And here is a quote from Dom.
I don't know. I play the drums. I like Italian food. I like to fish.
That is true. That is from his audiobook, The Cycle of Self-Empowerment. Of course, I slowed it down so he sounds drunk. Well, man, I am going to let you guys get back to your lives. This is a super fun hang. I have probably, of course, 4 more pages of questions. I always do. Because I always, I'm always interested in picking everybody's brains. But it was super fun. We gave away some fun prizes. We got to reconnect and hang together. This, of course, is going to be archived on YouTube, so you guys could watch it again if anybody, of course, when they're watching this in the rerun. If you missed it, you're here now, so that's great. And I thank everybody that's been following for the last 2 years with these live streams. And I continue to do them out of the love of what we do and sharing the stories with these amazing guys. So stay tuned for more amazing episodes. And all of the links that are important, I think, to get to everyone that's here tonight are in the description of the video. So Dave Weckl's website and his drum school on Teachable is there. The links are there. Stanton Moore Drum Academy is there. David Garibaldi's links are there from social, so you can get in touch with him that way. And, of course, Hudson Music. So get DG's Notebook, the newest release from David Garibaldi. And catch Dave out on tour. Catch Stanton out on tour. Catch David Garibaldi out on tour with Tower of Power. When's your next shows coming up, David? For Tower? Friday? Where?
In Atlantic City.
Oh.
And then Sunday we're doing a Capitol Jazz Festival.
Awesome.
In DC.
Dave, when are your next Tom Kennedy project dates?
Wednesday. Yeah, the guys come in tomorrow. We hit here Wednesday night with with Back to the Future opening for us, Rob and Mike Silverman. They're,
Oh, nice.
Kind of promoting the gig and putting it on at the Chesterfield Amphitheater, and then we go out west.
And Stanton, when's your next?
Friday we play a festival in West Virginia, and Saturday we play Red Rocks.
Oh, very
Nice.
cool.
Wow, Red Rocks. Haven't been there in a while.
We're
Nice.
excited. It's been a while since we've been there, but
Nice.
we're excited.
Well, check all these guys' calendars out. See what's going on, and hopefully I can talk these guys into coming back on shows later on, maybe one at a time, to go down some other drumming rabbit holes. But I appreciate everybody hanging tonight, and we're gonna wrap it up. Let everybody get back to their lives. Thank you, whoever that was. That was a new subscriber. We'll talk to all you guys real soon. And
Thanks for having us, Jim.
yeah,
Thank you,
man. And
brother.
thanks to all the companies that sponsored tonight, including Stanton's Drum Academy. So awesome. We're going to wrap it
Pleasure
up.
to be here with all you great cats, and just
So great.
hi to all the folks out there watching, and be well.
Thank you guys.
Great to see everybody.
All
God
right.
bless y'all.
Roll the
Take
credits.
care.